Sony's PS4, well known for being really loud. Today we're going to see if changing the thermal paste will make a difference. This will help us read the RPM, and this little reflective tape is what this is going to use to record the RPM. So what we need to do is crack this open and put it onto the case, onto the fan. And we're going to load up a game and we're going to see how fast this fan's going to be spinning before we take it apart and change the thermal paste. Okay, so we're going to insert Battlefront into the PlayStation and we're going to see what kind of fan speed that we get up to after we play a few seconds of the game. So here we go. Have to mind the cable. And I'll come back when we get up to temperature. Okay, so now we're getting in game. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly use this tester and I'm going to turn it on. And I'm going to click test. And I'm going to see what we're kind of getting from the fan right now. Okay, that should give us... Okay, so then we're going to... Oops. We're going to click average, and right now we're getting an average of 1,392 RPM. As we go on, we're going to see how high this is going to go. Okay, now as you might be able to hear it, we are getting a lot higher RPM. And right now I'm going to turn this on. And we're going to test how fast this fan is going right now. Okay, now we're going to get the average again. And now, right now, we're at 3,150 RPM, and we're going to keep on playing for another few minutes and see how much louder this fan is going to go. So, I very much doubt that we are at the highest RPM that we're going to get, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take another reading. I've reset it back to 0, and we're going to take another reading from the fan, and we're going to see what we're at. Average again, we are now at 3,200 RPM, and this is only about 10 minutes into gameplay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to disassemble this PlayStation and we're going to see if we can fix that. Okay, so now what we got to do is we're going to start to take apart this PlayStation, and first I'm going to start by removing this warranty seal. And to do that, I'm just going to use a pair of tweezers to remove this little warranty seal right here. Now, there may be a better way to do this, but this is just the way I like to do it. And maybe if my tweezers were actually a good set of tweezers, I could just grab it and pull it off, but there we go. Okay, so now we're just going to grab this. It's going to be a T9. And before we do that, we should probably take out the hard drive. And I'm not sure how big the hard drive is in this particular PlayStation, but the Slims did come in 500 gigabytes or 1 terabyte. And this one is, I am not sure because it is covered by the shielding. Now I'm going to put the screw back in here. I'm going to take this T9 bit. I'm going to stick it back in there. I'm going to undo this one security screw that we have, and I'm going to put the screw right up here. And now I'm going to slowly pull on the casing to loosen it so that I can take the bottom shell. I can take the whole PlayStation out of the bottom shell. I'm going to remove the screwdriver because you don't want that damaging anything. Whoop! Saw some dust, and we've got some liquid damage in the bottom here. And now we're just going to turn it over, and that's quite a bit of liquid. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a little rag here. I'm gonna put some isopropyl alcohol on it, and I'm gonna just rub and see if this liquid will come off. Yep, it seems to be coming off pretty easily. It looks like Coke or soda or something. It's pretty thick. So I'm just going to keep rubbing until we get most of this off. And then we're going to take the tweezers and just remove some of this dust. Just place it over here for now. And then we're just going to pull this antenna wire up and just unroute it very simply. We're going to replace some of that. So if we can save this one. Ooh. That soda does not make it easy to remove anything, unfortunately. So now we're going to go and we're going to get our Phillips Zero bit, and we're just going to start removing all of these right here. So we're just going to go all the way around and remove all of these screws, and don't forget the ones down here, because those are also important. We don't want to pull anything out and destroy it. There we go. And remember to keep all your screws organized and labeled so you know exactly where they come back out of. So I'm going to pull this out. And I'm just going to lift the latch on this one, pull it out. No latch on this one, and again, no latch on this one. Now make sure we remove the fan header. And now we've got all of these screws to remove. Now I might just fast forward through this. I might say so you can see. If we keep going around. Keep going until we get all these screws out. Now, these videos aren't necessarily going to be tutorials, they're more going to be just for entertainment than to teach people how to do this stuff, because I feel like these videos are going to be too long and not enough people are going to watch them if they were just long form tutorials. So we just got to get this stuff removed. And we're just going to keep going until we get them all out. Okay, so that's all done. Okay, so we can't remove it right now because we have one right here and one right here. So we're going to need to flip it over, and now we're going to need to remove this. So there's two screws right here, and now the two T9s again. So we're just going to swap our bit and the iFixer toolkit for this T9. Get that out. And we're going to unscrew this too. And now I'm just going to pull basically up from the shield to remove it all. The shield is one piece, and then I'm going to get the battery, the power supply, sorry, not battery. I'm not working on a handheld no more. And we're going to have to find the seam of the power supply. Just going to have to lift it And for that, I'm probably going to use a flathead screwdriver. Now, I would not recommend doing this because, again, live electricity has just been through this board, this power supply, sorry. So we got a good bit of dust in there, but we're going to put that to one side for now, and we're going to worry about taking this screw out, which again is the trusty old T9. Then we're going to remove 1, 2, 3, these other 3, which is just 1. Now we're going to remove this one, which is 2. And we're going to remove the other one, which is 3. Okay, now we're going to flip it back around. Now we should have none protruding through, so we can just easily remove this section. Okay, so now I'm just going to disconnect this power supply connector right here. So I'm going to have to just, I find it easier just to twist back and forth until it comes loose, or you can use your pair of tweezers to grab it and slowly surely get it out. Now be careful because these will break. And this one really does not want to come out. There we go. And now we're going to remove these two, which are holding down the APU. These two here. Now I like to pull up so the screws don't fall out. I'm just going to place them over here for now. And that's what we're going to do. And now we can remove the main board. And we're going to remove it as one piece. Now we can see right here a lot of the CPU does not have any thermal paste, and you can see it directly down here too, where a lot of it is just not making any contact whatsoever. So that's probably why we're getting so hot so fast. Okay, so now we're just going to thread that back through, and we're going to remove this just so we can clean up here as well as seeing in here. So I'm going to jump cut until I can blow this out, and then we can get ready to reassemble it and put new thermal paste on. Okay, so I've gone outside and blown the big wad of dust out, but what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to use this brush, and I'm just going to scrape it right over the trash can so that I can get as much dust out of the system as I possibly can, because we want to get it as clean as possible so air can flow straight through the vents and not have to be impeded by anything else. So we're going to keep on cleaning until we don't think we can get any more dust off whatsoever. Okay, so that looks very clean now. I'm going to put it to the side while we unscrew this fan. Just the 2, so 1 and then 2. And if you notice, I'm just putting the screws to the fact that I can just lift this fan out, run a toothbrush over the blades, and get rid of as much dust as possible. Okay, now I'm going to get this and I'm just going to wipe in here much as the excess dust as I possibly can. I'm going to wipe all of this up, and I'm going to just this off. Okay, so now I'm going to put the fan exactly the way I left it and make sure these lines, these notches line up. And now I'm going to get this fan, and I like to go reverse till I can feel it drop back in the threads, and then I just screw it back in. Now you don't want to over tighten it because it's going straight back into plastic. So there we go. Now that fan's back in. Now we're going to get our heatsink, and we're just going to move these cables out of the way so we can place our heatsink back in. Now you have to be careful every step of the way because there is a lot of cables that could just get trapped or broken or misplaced, and so that's what we got to try to prevent. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get some isopropyl alcohol and put it on our pad, or our cleaning cloth, sorry, and we're just going to wipe what was left of the thermal paste. Okay, now we're going to do the same here on the APU, but I'm going to use a Q-tip after to go around the edges. So if I do this, and now I'm going to use this Q-tip to go and get collected all around the edges. And then I'm going to use the other side and just go back over the APU die. And that's how that goes. Now we're going to put on the most, we're going to put on the loving amount of thermal paste. So what we can do now is I like to just get a latex glove or something like that. Just open them here. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put the full glove on, just going to stretch it over my finger so my finger oils don't get on it, and I'm just going to spread it over the die so it makes full contact. Now it's thermal paste does spread when you put the plate back on, but I do like to make sure it's very well spread before I do that, just in case it doesn't spread as much as it should and leaves a bald spot. And right here there's some dust, so I'm just going to use my get rid of it. And now I'm going to pick this thermal pad back up and I'm going to put it back where it belongs. Now we don't want to disform it too much. And now what we're going to do is we're going to place this back in with it tilted down, and we're going to, actually, I have made a mistake. This needs to come back out, and I need to place this right here. Okay, so now we can go back and place this down again. And make sure the board sits flush. And we've got to add this back. Now we're going to get the heatsink retention clip, clamp. And I like to go backwards just before I grab it, and then I can continue to tighten it up so we don't cross thread anything. Okay, so make sure you do them evenly. And now what we're going to do is we're going to get the top plate, which still has some of that unfortunate stuff on it. So now we're going to flip it back over, trying not to pinch any of the cables. And we're going to put one screw in here, one screw in here, and one screw in here. Now we're going to use the same screwdriver and we're going to tighten all these down. and then we're gonna switch out for the T9 again, so we can get this one through the plate at the bottom and add pressure back to the heatsink. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to this, and I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna add all of these, and I'll be back once they're all added back and we can reconnect. Okay, so now we're gonna do the drive. This one's good, and now you're going to show the black cable lines with. So now we'll do this one. Now finally, the front panel, which is a little bit loose. Just okay. Just put it in there. Okay, so now we'll lift it up, give it a press again, and we're going to put it in and attach it here. Okay, so now we're plugging, and now it's going to get some masking tape, and I'm just going to masking tape the tiny bit in there, and then the tiny little piece of masking tape, and now we're going to be the easiest way to clean a lot of stuff, a lot of consoles. Okay, so there we go. We gotta get that done. Now we gotta get the power supply back, and we're just gonna give it a wipe over with this rag. And I've already cleaned it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna reattach this cable. I find it easier just to put it on its back and to attach it upside down, basically, and push it in and make sure it clicks. Now we're gonna align this power supply and make sure you don't bend these, but you should be able to basically just line it up. Okay, so now what we gotta do is we gotta get this plate back, and we're just gonna re-put it over this cover. And if I remember correctly, this one is the short and this one is the long. And now we gotta get these two little tiny ones. They go into these, and I'm going to tighten these ones up first, and then take our trusty T9 again, and what we're going to do is we're then going to put this back down in there, and then we're going to wipe over this cover so get rid of that sticky residue. Okay, now I'm just going to run down this edge again. Just going to make sure that all of this is clean. And we're going to see that we still got some of this liquid on there, but unfortunately I don't see us a way of getting it off. I'm going to put that to the side for a second, and we're going to get this, and we're going to put quite a bit of IPA onto this and try to get rid of this colorful. Whatever it is that's on here, it's a real squirt. So keep on squirting until we get as much off as possible. Okay, so now we get some more. So keep on getting off as much as we can, and we try to lose. And keep on getting. And hopefully do that and get the on the end of it. That's not ideal. Okay, now we're going to drink again. And then we're always from right after clean off. Clean off the PlayStation, sorry. So keep going. Okay, so now we've got everything off. Now we're just gonna slide this back over the top. Take our trusty little screw here, and we're just going to put it back in. Now we're going to swap it back because all we need is the Phillips head. We're just going to gently dust off the drive. We're not going to do anything else to the drive because we don't want to damage the person's data. Just going to make sure that we line up this drive in the correct order. It's really tight to get in there. We're going to go and we're going to collect this piece, the screw, and tighten it in. And now we are going to clip it in and finally wipe off of this again because we put all our fingerprints back over it. And I'm just gonna run my toothbrush across the front, and there we go. Now correct, we can just plug this into here, and we can go down here and we can plug it into the power, get the HDMI cable, plug it into here. Now all we need to do is press the on button, and there we go. Now I'll come back once we load into the game. This is about 2 or 3 minutes in, so we're not about the 10 minutes that it was before. Okay, now we're going to go to average. So we're about 1300 RPM right now. So to me, that's an improvement over last time, but again, I do not remember what it is, so we'll have to see when I put it up on screen. Okay, so last time it was around 3000. So now I'm going to try again, and I'm going to click test, and I'm just going to line this laser up. And we're only about 1335, so 1335 RPM, and that's a massive difference compared to what it was. So if anybody ever asked, does changing the thermal paste on the PlayStation make it quieter? Yes, it does. A lot.